I will now call back to order the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board of Education meeting for February 6, 2024. Yes. May I ask everybody to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? All right, so thank you all, and apologies for being a little late. I have to bring up let's see, sorry, I'm trying to bring up my president's report. Sorry, this is, there we go. The right day. All right, so it's been a few months since we've actually met, so I wanted to, first off, thanks everybody for being here, and those that are listening in the future. I wanted to look back, we've had several months, the holidays, and really I think we didn't obviously have a board meeting in January, but a significant amount of work's been going on, a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations. On the construction front, I did want to just mention out a special thing that occurred with Jen's work and Dan Mortensen and their teams able to deliver a ribbon cutting to the transitions program here at West Campus. I believe it was last week, and a fantastic event that I missed, but Sally Davis represented the board and was here for a very special time. So I wanted to thank all of them and all the work. I know some folks in the community do not realize that there's actually quite a bit of education activities happening here at West Campus. They think it's all athletics. It's not. In admin, it's the transition program is a very special extension of the education journey for those that need the additional care and learning past their 18th birthday. And this program has and continues to deliver that, and I think this work that's been done 10 years in the making to some degree, and a really special thank you to everybody that's allowed it to work and get to that point, and I think probably the person that's spent probably the most time on it's been Jen. So thank you for all of that to make that happen. From a building topic perspective, a lot of the enablement work, so there's going to be things that are going to be brought forward to the community here in the next, this month and next month, and you're going to be able to start to see some of the finishing touches over the work that's going to be taking place for the summer 2024, as well as you're going to start to be able to see some of the monitoring and website work that's going to be coming in the near future here to really be able to monitor that in whatever kind of detail community members wanted to see. So super excited about that. On the education front, Dr. Lennart just shared with us some of her summary ideas around the 100-day plan with her and her team. Over about 20 professionals in the building that are working on the education plan as we go forward. So just significant work, and being able to outline the action plans and the steps that are going to be taken. And these are going to be aligned and are aligned with our priorities and goals that we approved back in the fall. So we're going to see more specifics. We're going to see more steps and clarity to what's going to be happening. And I think the community is going to get a much better line of sight into what students go through and what they experience and what their deliverables are going to be when they graduate here from Lake Forest. And one thing I'd fail to not mention is that the participation, not just from the team, but the teachers, the support staff, the instructional directors, everybody within that building and that supports that building. And what it really represents and shows is really the love that all of them have for the students in the communities of Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and Knollwood, and I'm just so proud. I believe the work they're taking on will expand and improve and change in dramatic ways the educational journey of the students, and again, give better visibility to their achievements and the growth that we will all see. Also had the recent opportunity of several community events around communications and the work there. And one of the questions that came up yesterday in a breakfast for the realtors in the community was someone asking kind of why would I move to Lake Forest? Why would I move to Lake Bluff? Why would I move to Knollwood? What's the whole point? A real simple answer I give is really the opportunity in the community. So I think about what this little bubble affords people is really the opportunity to step into your future, but also the opportunity to have a voice in your future. My wife and I and our family lived in Evanston, and I think about the time that I had there and thinking about how small of a voice I had. As you think about what is here within Lake Forest and the ability, whether you agree or disagree with anything, the ability for you to step into conversations and be able to contribute is significant. And the way I kind of would summarize that is a word called transparency. People talk about wanting to see everything, but if you can't actually have a voice to affect change, the transparency doesn't mean anything. So I think what we're allowing for people to do in the efforts that Melissa continues to support us and the staff is that communication effort to really afford the transparency to mean something tangible. And the conversations and the time that I think the staff and the people in our board as well willing to give out is significant. And we'll continue to do that because I think that's extremely important for all of us to honor the roles that we have and the community and the students and what we're trying to achieve. So with that, I just want to again say thank you, and I'm super excited about the work that's happening and where we're going. And with that, I think it's to the LFHS updates for Dr. Lennart. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I actually have the best report tonight ever, well, at least over the last few months, because I have the students reporting tonight. We went to a new model this year where our students will be reporting 4 times a year. So they're going to do celebrations. I think Fritz is going to come in with some information from the Principals Advisory Council as well. But these are going to be the best nights this school year because we have the students here representing. So with that, I will hand it over to Kelsey and Fritz. Woo, go Scouts.
Hi, everyone. So the past few months have been great at the high school. There have been so many fun activities that we have gotten to take part in, and the younger grades, and it has been so much fun. So to start, we had our winter formal on the 20th of January, and it was a blast. We had 743 students in attendance, and it was just a ton of fun. The music was fun. Everyone seemed to have a good time, and it got a lot of really fun reviews. Fritz and I were both there. I thought it was really fun. So, yeah, that was great. And then we also had our Veterans Day event, which was a really great moment, to celebrate and to honor our veterans. We had a really great turnout for that, too, with some of the troops there, the band there. Everyone did a phenomenal job. My mom was actually there. She cried. She thought it was such, a really well-done thing, and it was just great to honor them and, give them the opportunity. With that, the seniors have done, in student council, we are doing senior versus staff games. So we did dodgeball right before winter break, which was a blast. It was so much fun. All of the teachers were super excited about it. I played one round, and it was so funny. I went against my physics teacher. We had a test that day, so maybe that wasn't my best idea, but I got him out, and so I was all excited. I went into physics. I was like, hey, Mr. Weiland, sorry I got you out in dodgeball. I took my test with a Physics C, AP Physics C exam. I am not in AP Physics C. But I ended up taking my exam. It was good fun. It was just a blast. We had such great feedback from it. It was so much fun. Fritz played too, I think.
Yeah, loved it.
Yeah, there was teachers had a blast. They've been asking me when we're doing our next one. So I think we're doing a knockout game next week, which will be really fun, a really big one during the lunches. So that was super fun, besides my Physics C exam, but that was okay. So for our freshman and sophomore classes, they have been partnering with Little Scouts. So in October, they did a Halloween party with them, and so they went in, hung out with the kids, and did all these fun activities, and they are doing their Valentine's Day party coming up. So they are very excited. The kids are very excited. So that was a great experience. And then prom is underway, and we are so excited. So it's on a boat this year, which is so fun, and just gonna be something different for all of us. Obviously, we've never experienced that, but I think it'll be really great, a really great time for everyone. So they are going down next week, and they're going to go visit the boat, all the juniors and student council, and they're going to check it out. So we'll hear more about that soon, but I know when everyone found out it was on a boat, it was really exciting. So yeah, and then last but not least, we had our scout experience recently, which was a lot of fun. I did tours for that, so the parents showed the students around, and Fritz did the student council booth, actually. So it was great. A lot of great questions, a lot of really excited incoming freshmen. So it was super fun. They had a lot of questions, and they just seemed to really want to get involved. So I think we have a really great class coming forward. So very exciting.
Awesome. So the Principals Advisory Council, you guys might remember that I'm lucky enough to have a spot in the Principals Advisory Council. And when I talked to you guys in October, I introduced the council by bringing up our first topic, the first topic we wanted to tackle, which was just lowering prices in the cafeteria. There were a lot of students that just said that, having a filling lunch just cost a little too much. And so we had a meeting with Mr. Herr, the director of Quest Food Services at the high school, and Dr. Hermes, and we found that those value for money deals, they were already there. We just really needed to find a better way to help students find those deals. Lunch doesn't need to be $15. You don't need to have sushi every single day. There's a $6.75 option that will fill you up. And Mr. Herr has done a great job at bringing those in this year. So we really just want to help students find those value deals. Now, it hasn't just been lunches. So one of the things we want to tackle and have been tackling is senior parking. We all know senior parking is a little bit expensive, $635 per semester. So we had a meeting with Dr. Hermes, and we came away understanding that there's not a lot of room for us to just lower that price. We need to find a way to subsidize that and find new ways to fund a lowering in price. And right now, just a little thing, what that might look like. One of our ideas is just raising prices for admission at sports events. So just take a football game, for example. That'll be typically $3 for a student. If we raise that to $5, you get a 66% increase on revenue. And then at the same time, it might be a little easier for students to have a 5 in their pocket rather than 3 singles. I know it's just a little thing, but it's as you guys know, it's the little things that can make that possible. That's not a perfect example. We know that there's some stuff we'd have to deal with the athletic department, and those profits aren't just for us, but it's just one of the little ways that we want to subsidize senior parking. So booster store. We all love the booster store. One of the members of the council brought up that they wanted Scout merch, and they found that it was both expensive and it was actually a little hard to get. Usually, the booster store is supposed to be open Wednesdays and Fridays, although they've had a tough time recently staffing and advertising. So we had a meeting with Mrs. Engelberg and Mrs. Rice, 2 mothers who are running the booster store, and we found that those sales are already happening. There are already items that are not super expensive, and it's really just the advertising. So right now, the booster store is advertising over Instagram, but we came away thinking that there are a million more ways that we could help them advertise. I do the announcements every single morning with Mahi Bala, and we realize that every single morning or every week when there's a sale, we can say, hey, head over to the booster store today during your block lunch period or just during your study hall and go get a $5 t-shirt so you can wear it to the basketball game tonight. I know next week we have the We Love the Scouts sale for Valentine's Day, and I know we'll be plugging it, and we're looking for some good results. So this is probably our newest topic and one that we know is going to be pretty tough to tackle and definitely ongoing. But we had a few students in the council who just they've had some mental health troubles in the past, and they brought up that it's understandably difficult for teachers to adapt to all their students, especially when students have trouble understanding things, they have trouble focusing. So our goal is to just really open that line of communication between students and their teachers, and not have teachers bend over backwards for a single student, but just make it a little easier on both ends there, and just help students just create a better plan for dealing with their issues within school. Yeah. That's Principals Advisory Council.
All right, before I get started with my part, we want to get a picture of you with the board because I think we're looking at like future presidents of the United States here. They might want a signature or some sort of an autograph as well. So if you could just get with the board right now and we'll get a big picture, show the love. It is close to Valentine's Day. All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I actually participated one round of dodgeball, and I actually observed it for a minute, and I thought, I know how to do this. I'll be management. So I stood behind the teachers, and then I would hand them to the teachers. I'd figure out who was the ace, who could get it, and I started handing it, and then somebody caught on to me, one of the students, and they hit me pretty quickly. So, and I was like, fine, I'm out. That was my whole strategy. So that was a ton of fun. The Principals Advisory Council has really been on fire in a lot of ways. I mean, this is our third year of it, but just to see the evolution, I actually met with someone in this room around student fees who was going to be talking to Dr. Hermes today, I believe, and I think they had a really good meeting, and he came to see me, Mr. Lesniak, and said, those kids, they are in it to win it. Like, what is going on? They had a slide deck. They were presenting what their beliefs were, and I said, that's exactly who they are this year, so very impressive, and just as our senior class president as well, so thank you for sharing. A couple of things happening at Lake Forest. We all know that Frank Lesniak is about to deliver his first assessment report, so there's no heckling. He's worked hard on it. I think that you'll be impressed with the work that's being done at Lake Forest High School, but we're going to wait until next month to present what work we're doing around college readiness skills, and I'll actually do that for you. What is the SAT work we've currently been engaged in? What are our plans for the summer? What's the work that we did last summer as well? So next month I'll be presenting that aspect of it, but he'll go through all the data and all the numbers tonight as well. Also, I think remembering, and this is something we just talked about in the 100-day plan, we have a lot on the horizon. We met with the Ed Committee this morning, and we talked about the transition from 8th to 9th grade, some of the data that we've been gathering, and now we've actually created a class for rising 9th graders next year we're piloting. We're really thinking about social emotional learning intentionally. We're thinking about that sense of belonging. We're thinking about our One Lake Forest High School statement intentionally and how that shows up in our classrooms. So we have a lot of phenomenal work happening beyond the assessment report. It's those facets of student life that are really important that we're also trying to hone in on as well. We have our APT talent show in a couple of weeks. That's a big event. What I love about the talent show is it's all kinds of talents. We'll have dance up there. We might have a comedy routine, a theater routine. You'll have students who produce media, a lot of funny teacher videos typically, but students are really on stage and they're shining. We'll have bands. You won't believe the talent of our scouts. So it's certainly an event that should not be missed, February 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, one of my favorite events of the year. Also, speaking of favorite events, we just did our winter play too. Barefoot in the Park was last weekend, and what I loved about that play, it's Neil Simon, not only was the acting just dynamic, and this being my third year, I've now watched some of these scouts grow up. So I remember them in their 9th and 10th grade play. This is what it's all about. You get to watch them, you get to shake their hand at graduation, but just to see, I know two of the leads, just to see how much they've grown over the years and really grown into themselves, and we're about to send them out into the world. So it's those moments. And then I actually got to sit in the foundation grants meeting where we were going through, I think it's $241,000 worth of grants that were submitted. And that's all about teachers, about students, about community members who are dreaming about cool things for our school. They probably won't be able to fulfill all of them. Some of them actually we can't fulfill for a variety of reasons, but it's just wonderful to see when people are given the opportunity to dream and to think the things that they'll come up with. So that was a lot of fun too. And the grant day is coming March 15th, I believe. That's always fun. Check out social media. We'll be all over Instagram with that. There are balloons, there are signs, there are checks. It's a good time. A couple more celebrations. Kelsey touched on the Scout experience. We had over 300 families. We think over 750. I asked Patrick, how many do you think? He said, I'd say about 750. So I said, maybe I'll say 783, approximately 783, who knows. But it was a really successful event. We moved it this year and we allowed for tours again. And we moved the curriculum into the library. I think we still have some tweaking to do, but we wanted to get people into the educational spaces. That was some feedback that we've received over the years. We had some tours going on. They went a little long. And I kept thinking, we're touring students around a building that's about to be renovated, so it won't even look the same. But it was a good experience because they got to come into the high school and just feel like they were part of what we do at Lake Forest High School. If you haven't heard, follow me on Instagram, because Dance won states, and this is their second year in a row. We have phenomenal athletic teams. Tonight, we have our gymnastics team competing for the sectionals gymnastics title. And then we also have our boys basketball team, who I don't know if we've heard yet, they are competing against Warren High School for the NSC championship. So just phenomenal athletes across the board, just as we have phenomenal activities as well happening. And that's actually showcased at the Scout experience. And then also one of my favorite events, I love senior nights. I've actually been teased about it, because I go to all of them. I try to. Sometimes I'm out of town, and then I'm really bummed out when I can't go and shake the hands of the seniors as they are walking, whether it be down the court, across the field, across the stage, for their last time with their parents. It's one of my favorite things to do, because I always get to congratulate them for their years of being a Scout, and tell them in my small way how much they mean to us and their community, one at a time. And I just love those nights. So we're deep into senior nights, and especially with our fall, or with our winter sports happening too. I just wanted to plug this for a second. We've had 2 snow days. Now we have balmy, summer weather going on outside. I don't know if we'll have any more, but just as a reminder, and we've pushed this out in communication, our plan is that we would have e-learning days should we have any more inclement weather. So I'm making sure I get that out everywhere. Keep your laptops charged. We don't want to miss any more school. We have a lot of learning to do at Lake Forest High School. And then finally, I always love to end with something, some happy story or something that's happening. Yesterday was one of those really happy days because we had our Special Olympics basketball game against Cove School. And I really, I try to get my live action shots. I love this shot. Our students did really well. What I love about the game is the cheering for both sides. I love how everyone is excited when any student for either team does well. There was a cheer team, they came out, they did a halftime show. It just really fills your bucket. And here you see our Scouts, and they're wearing that Scout jersey. You can see Sam, he's taking it very seriously there. You see Maria, they're getting coached. Notice the students around them really listening. They're in the huddle. Because when you're wearing that jersey and you're Scout, that means something. And this is something that I'm really proud of and I'm proud to share. So with that concludes my principal's report.
Thank you, Dr. Nolan. Dr. Montgomery?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Aaron. Tonight's topics are going to be wide-reaching, but I think important to highlight, and you'll hear a common thread around outreach and the focus of that within the district, the board, and administration. So we will start with a new advisory council that was put in place just this past week, where we invited community members to come together to help advise me in my role as superintendent. We were overwhelmed by the response. We had 85 community members apply to be a part of the advisory committee. We were able to get the number down to 27, I think. And as the individuals introduced themselves, it is a testament to Mrs. Oakley and her work as we tried to figure out a cross-section of the community that is diverse in many ways, as one element of, do you have students in school right now? Do you have students that have graduated? Do you not have any students at all? Do you Have you lived in the community a short period of time? Have you lived in the community for many years? What is the proportion from Knollwood, Lake Bluff, Lake Forest? So there was many different cross-analyses done to try to make this group as viable and vibrant as possible, and I think we hit the mark. We will be meeting quarterly as an advisory council, and each council member has an open invitation to meet with me at their leisure should they have a topic of interest that they want to explore more in depth on a one-on-one basis. It is just another example of how we're trying to connect with the community. Mr. Noble talked about the cutting of the ribbon, or the ribbon cutting for transitions, and it was a joyful day last week as we looked at renovations that have been 10 years in the making for our students with our greatest needs, and it is a testament to our commitment to serving all students. And the joy in that room on that morning, I think Sally and the team can echo just how special it was. And I was most grateful that we were able to do this for our students and for our staff. Keeping with the spirit of construction, we are in the throes of our enabling phase, which equates about $7 million for the referendum work. We are out to bid for the $7 million worth of work that will commence this summer. We are also starting, those bids, by the way, will come to the board asking for approval at the March meeting, starting in June for the work. We are already talking, though, about what is happening in the main construction phase, or phase 1, which will start July of 25, and it will go to June of 27. And then the final phase will start July of 2027. In March, we are hoping to increase our referendum page that is on the website, the landing page, on tools in which you can track how we're spending, how the bids are being awarded, how we're progressing through each phase, in a, again, theme of outreach and connection with our community to make sure we are keeping our constituents informed every step of the way. This is also made possible with different programs that we're doing, such as a new program called Under the Hard Hat, which is being hosted by Mr. Dan Mortensen. And the first one is, I think the preview's coming out this weekend, and there will be video releases of Dan as the Director of Facility and Operations walk through the community the process of where we are with construction. Don't forget, we also have our Capital Advisory Committee that is meeting, Capital Improvements Advisory Committee that is meeting this Thursday. They advise us as experts in the construction, architect, engineering, interior design world. They advise our team to make sure that we are hitting the mark with the community's desires. Last week, I had the honor, and I've done this for every year I've been a superintendent, but the last 3 years that I've been here, and I shadowed and met with 2 different students. It is always a day that fills my bucket, and I always glean information to help me be a more thoughtful leader when we're serving our students. We will be shadowing a DPM student, I think, on February 22nd. So I'm able to shadow at least one student in both districts every year. The board is engaging in community coffees. That was also last week. The winter one was last week. A lot happened in the last 7 days. But we are scheduling regularly occurring coffees with the board presidents and myself and some administrative team. Aaron was with us, Patrick Sasson was with us, answering questions in an informal setting to make sure that we are addressing our community's questions real time. And so they don't have to feel like they have to send an email. They don't have to feel they have to come to a board meeting, schedule a separate meeting. We're just there and present. If no one shows up, fine, we're gonna have a cup of coffee. If people people show up, we're gonna have a cup of coffee and have great conversations and answer questions. Monday, I'm getting tired just thinking about everything that just happened. Yesterday, right? Yesterday we had the realtor breakfast for Lake Forest, Lake Bluff, and Chambers. We had 35 realtors and chamber members at the East Campus, and we did a joint partnership with Dr. Leali and myself, giving an update to the realtors about what's happening in all 3 districts. I will finish with the announcement of the Let's Talk AI series. We've been pushing this out periodically, and it is getting closer to the first series starting on February 20th. This is something we're passionate about. In the past, we have done Let's Talks on hot topics, and they've changed from each meeting throughout the school year. This year, we are trying something a little different. We are sticking with one topic over multiple sessions, and the focus will be AI. I know that AI is impacting industry, and education is no different than any other. Any meeting that I go to at the local, state, or national level, they are discussing how AI is impacting what we do day in and day out. This first series is a partnership with Lake Forest College. Dr. Jill Barron will be with me co-hosting as we talk through what's happening in AI currently in the K-12 and then secondary world that Dr. Barron has the pleasure of serving in. That is the first series. Second meeting in the series will be with leaders in industry in the community who are directly interfacing with AI, and they'll be sharing on a panel approach how AI is changing their work on a daily basis. The third session will be Now What, So What? And we'll be inviting our community who has been a part of this journey with us to weigh in on how our learning should impact or could be impacting future plannings around AI within both districts. That concludes my superintendent's report, and thank you so much for being with us. It is refreshing to be back. The board doesn't meet in the months of July and January, so we are happy to be back together and doing the work for kids.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'd like to offer public participation, so we'd be welcome to hear any public comment subject to our policy. If there's anyone in attendance, I'll read the guidelines if there is, but if there's anybody who wish to stand up and speak, we'll be willing to hear that now at this time. All right. Seeing none, we will move on to our reports, an assessment report. Mr. Lesniak, so the floor is yours. Thank you.
No heckling, remember.
I actually welcome the heckling.
We will do our best to live up to that.
Yeah. Do I control this, Jordan, or you got this? Thank you. All right, well, good evening. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. My name is Frank Lesniak. I'm assistant principal at Lake Forest High School, and this is my first year as assistant principal, my first time presenting anything to the board, so I'm really honored to be here. This is the only place I've ever worked, so Lake Forest High School means a lot to me, so I'm really excited to be here today. All right, so as you can see from our agenda, we have a couple things that we want to cover, and I'm going to jump right into it. So, you know, Dr. Enlart tells me that this assessment report is a big part of the reporting cycle. So I'm here to answer any questions, concerns that come up for you. I also want to, this report highlights the strategic plan. It highlights how we are trying to make all of our Lake Forest High School students college and career ready. And you know, it's a big part of how it shows our commitment to the data and how we're using the data to be fully transparent. And then tonight, I'm going to take some of that data and we're going to make some speculative reasons as to why maybe the data is shifting or why it's moving. The District 115 portrait of a learner, as well as the One Lake Forest vision model, it's served as our creation in the 5-year strategic plan. So what you're seeing here is the 7 goal areas that were developed based on that 5-year plan. This was touched on earlier, but Dr. Lennart talked about a 100-day plan that we've created for each of these 7 areas. When I say we, it's the Dr. Lennart's leadership and the Lake Forest High School leadership team has created 100-day plans for each of these. Dr. Lennart's going to touch more on that, or maybe she did that earlier tonight, it sounds like. But this assessment report really lays nicely in 1A. because that talks about getting students college and career ready. So we're going to talk about that, and you'll see that 1A provides us a really nice roadmap to ensure that our students have access to a really nice, rigorous curriculum, but also extensive opportunities. All right, so what you're seeing here in 1A, on the right-hand side, you'll see these are our ISB College and Career Readiness Indicators. What you're seeing on the right-hand side is College and Career Scholar, and on the left-hand side, you're seeing our Distinguished Scholar. So this is new, and you know, there's a lot here. So, you know, I'll give you a second to kind of look at it and take it in, but these are ISB College and Career Readiness Indicators that we're hoping our students will achieve either one or both of these pathways. So some of the things that we're highlighting here on the right-hand side is the College and Career Scholar, and that's how we've begun our process. Lake Forest High School's begun our process of creating college and career pathway endorsements for students, and that work is beginning, and that work is ongoing, and we're excited about it. On the left-hand side, you'll see the Distinguished Scholar indicator and what it takes to earn that. As you can see, it's not easy, right? And there's a lot in there, but a lot of this assessment report lies in number 3, the ACT, SAT score, and then number 4, which is will be our AP advanced placement and dual credit indicators right there. I do want to point out that students can earn both, right? There is no, you don't have to say, oh, I'm this or I'm that, right? Students can earn both of these indicators, which is nice. And lastly, before I switch to the next slide, the thing that stands out to me, I was a dean for many years, 95% attendance on average for your junior and senior year in order to earn either of those, right? So ISB's putting a big emphasis on attendance, right? So before I kind of continue down the assessment report, I do want to take a moment to talk about attendance because, you know, our slogan is attendance matters. And I think it's really important to take a moment to highlight this. So our deans, Laura Clegg and Jonathan Silver, have been working tirelessly to support student attendance. And the data that I have up here is something that I think our students and our community can really be proud of. You'll look at chronic absenteeism, right? And chronic absenteeism means if you're chronically absent, you've missed over 10% of your school year, okay? So the ISB indicator from the previous slides want our juniors and seniors to have 95% attendance, okay, on average. So that's essentially missing 10 or fewer days for the entire school year. Okay, our community has done a really good job of supporting attendance and supporting that slogan, attendance matters. And our teachers have done a really good job of rallying behind the attendance matters slogan, and our students have done a great job of responding. So I'm really proud of this work. Just to put some of this in perspective, not currently, but our first semester, I have some data here from our first semester. Our juniors attended 96.2% of the time on average, and our seniors attended 94.9% of the time. Okay, so again, if 95% is that threshold for the indicator for the college career ready or the distinguished scholar, they're pretty close to it, right? And that's something that, you know, we're proud of. Currently, we rank number 9 in top 10 public high schools in Illinois. That's awesome. That's great. That's a really nice, according to U.S. News. Of the top 10 schools in the state that we're up against, we rank number 1 in absenteeism, in the attendance rate. So we have a 10.7% chronic absenteeism rate. Other schools, the state average is 28.3. Other schools around us are 16.7, 17.7, 25, 31, 33, 30. So, you know, we're doing really well in that regard. So that's something I just wanted to highlight and touch on before we kept moving forward. Yeah, please. Yeah, good. Good question, yeah. So yes, I mean, it's defined as a valid cause, right? So we have a little latitude on what's a valid cause and what's not, but it is a valid, that's how they define it, by valid cause. So we would report any of our parental absences, and then if a student does, ditch a class for an unexcused absence, that would be counted against them.
So what Mr. Lesniak is saying is that they actually do count in the 95% number. Any absence counts towards chronic absenteeism. But we can, for our own reporting purposes, we can excuse with parental excuses too.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, those every absences count towards the 95%. I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question. Yeah, yeah. That's just something we do, because we hold, and even our attendance, like we hold our students to 9 absences per semester. The state, what that's asking for is 10 for the entire year. You know what I mean? Yeah. All right, so thank you for that question. This slide is our AP test summary, our AP data for the last 5 years. This, again, it sits in our Distinguished Scholar number 4 distinction there. What this slide highlights, there's a lot of information here, but I'm going to point out some things to you here that I think are important. What this slide highlights, what AP always talks about is the 3, getting a 3 or better on an AP test. What that essentially means is you're qualified, and what qualified means to them is that you've mastered the class, you've understood the material, and that you are able to pass a college class is what that says. So if you look here, around 90% of our students get 3 almost every year, right? And that's pretty impressive. The deviations from that are the 2020 year, where we had almost 93%. Full transparency there, that was the COVID year, and the test was altered that year. I mean, we're proud of that number, don't get me wrong, we're really proud of that number, but the test was altered that year. It was open note and open book, and it was only tested through the month of March, because obviously things changed. And then 2021, I take that as just a big hit from, what happened, right? Our percentage went down to 83, but just like our kids do, they rebound, and, now we're back around 90% again for the last couple of years. Proud of that number, proud of that data. If you look at the total number of AP students, it's gone down, but so is our enrollment. So if you look at in 2019, we've had 1,585 kids enrolled at Lake Forest High School with 660 AP students. That's around 42%. Fast forward to 2023, we have 1,429 students and 598, again, around 42%. So even though our enrollment's dropping, our AP enrollment, our AP is staying pretty consistent. Proud of that number. I'd like to, I think this goes to a lot of the work that our counselors are doing in placing kids in these rigorous courses, and then our teachers in teaching it and doing a good job making sure that our students are prepared for that AP exam. A different way to look at it here is another approach to Distinguished Scholar 4 is dual credit. So dual credit is something that Lake Forest High School's been doing for 18 years, just on a much smaller scale. We started to really get into dual credit with the last 3 years here, like keeping track of the data and really looking at it and making sure, making sure that we're providing opportunities for our students. In 2021, 2022, we had 105 students take and earn dual credit with our partnership with CLC and Lake Forest College. And then this current year, we currently have 179 students that will earn dual credit, assuming they complete the course, their high school course. Full transparency, all of our dual credit stuff right now is in elective classes, okay? So in order for our dual credit to get to that Distinguished Scholar number 4, it would need to exist in an English class or a math class. So it doesn't currently, right? But right now, our dual credit does provide opportunities in that career scholar pathway indicator. So we still have it, we still see great value in it right now, and we'll have scouts that graduate this year with career pathway endorsements that we're really proud of. Currently, our dual credit is in Spanish 5, Accounting Honors, New Media, Fitness and First Aid, and then Stagecraft Theater Design Tech 1. So those are our 5 areas that we earn dual credit in. We haven't crossed the threshold to bringing dual credit into our core classes. Based on I'm going to share some data here on the next slide, but you'll see why we're interested in it and why it matters to us, because there's some real value here in our dual credit stuff, dual credit data. So I'm going to explain that. But we'd have to make sure that we are supporting our teachers to become appropriately credentialed to teach to be dual credit certified. Okay, so I'm going to kind of buzz these in as they come in, but this slide is going to show us the reasoning why we want to support dual credit. Okay, I want to point out that one of the things that's unique about dual credit is currently we're pretty big on AP, and our school does a really nice job with AP, and I'm not knocking AP. AP is fantastic. But not every university or college accepts our AP credits. They just don't, right? Whereas dual credit is seen essentially as a transfer credit. So if any university or college that accepts a junior college transfer credit would accept dual credit. So that's a really nice feature of that dual credit. So what dual credit does, and some of the highlights of it, it gives teachers autonomy. And why is that important? I think it's important because we have wonderful teachers. And as long as that class aligns with our college, with the college class, it allows the teacher to do what's best for that class. And the students would still earn dual credit. That's a nice feature. 3 hours of college credit equals thousands of dollars of savings for families. So if you earn dual credit, now you go to XYZ University, and instead of paying all this money per credit hour, I mean, you still are, but you get 3 free ones, right? And that's a really nice feature that our kids are taking advantage of. Currently, like I said, we've been doing it for 18 years. So, the best of my knowledge, we've had over $3 million in college tuition that our students have taken advantage of by taking dual credit courses. And like I said, the student can simply transfer the credit. So you don't have to, go and enroll at the college. And I mean, you do enroll, but you don't have to go there and take a class or do any of that stuff. You just simply request a transcript and then send it on to your university or college that you're attending. And then you start that year with 3 credits already done, as 3 transfer credits. And so we talk about the ability also that not only is there money involved in money savings, but you also may have the ability to skip a course that you may have to take that now you don't have to take because you took it in high school, so another option that is pretty unique. So all of this is to say why we are trying to make dual credit more accessible to all of our students and creating more dual credit options. Okay, moving on to ACT, SAT data. I'm gonna take a moment again to just kind of let you look at this slide. This slide is 3 years of data from our senior survey that we give out to our seniors as they're graduating, and it's good information for us to have. And this is some information again that there's numbers up there. We can all make our own interpretations of these numbers, and I'm going to do some of that tonight with y'all. But just want to make sure give you an opportunity to look at it too. And some of the things that stand out to you. For me, like I look at the bottom right box, the percentage of students that are sending an ACT or an SAT to their college just in 2021 was 91%. The last 2 years, 57% of our students are sending test scores. That can tell you that can give you an indication that tests don't matter as much, right? So that's kind of what my thought was. And then I'm like, 36% of these tests of these colleges are test optional. 36% of our students, applied to test optional schools this past school year. So I went and talked to our counselors about this data, and I was just like, what is, and I asked them, does the ACT, SAT not matter as much? And they said, absolutely not. They said their message that they're giving to our kids is that the ACT and the SAT matter as much as ever. Our kids score well. So even if you're applying to a test optional school, send your test. If you did well, especially send it. You know what I mean? And our kids score well, so send the test, right? So that was some of the message that we're getting. Yes?
Frank, just for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We've been watching universities and colleges across the country during the pandemic and post-pandemic, and interestingly enough, Dartmouth just broke this week that said that they are now going to start requiring, or they're reinstating the SAT. So I don't know. That was the first Ivy to go. It is going to be interesting to see, do they all move back? Is it a spattering? But we're watching it closely.
Absolutely. When I was talking to the counselors, they have the belief that this is going to shift backwards. Not backwards, because I don't think it's the wrong direction, but this is going to shift back to requiring more tests. Exactly. The other thing that stands out in this slide is the number of times that our students are taking the SAT and the number of times our students are taking the ACT. And I think what's unique about that is our students are required to take an SAT to graduate high school, right? And if you look, they're only taking it 1 point whatever times, right? So they're not taking it many more times other than the requirement. Whereas a student is not required to take a single ACT at our high school to graduate, yet they're all taking it at least 2 times on average, right? So why, right? Let's speculate on that. And for me, that has to do with the ability, in the ACT you can super score, right? And what I mean by that is you can take your best math from this day that you sat on a Saturday and your best science from this day on a Saturday and combine them, create one super score. Again, I don't have that to be fact. That's just my speculation as to why the students are taking the ACT more than the SAT. One of the things that is new to our leadership team this year is we have a leader who's part of our team that is really diving into the data analytics, and we're excited because he's really good at it, and we're excited to dive into these test scores and really see what they mean for our kids. This graph is quickly, I'll breeze through this slide quickly. This is about this is the last 5 years data for our ACT scores. And one of the things that stands out, and I don't want you to worry about it, is that number, that 232. We have 232 kids that have taken an ACT test. That's low, but that we have a test coming up Saturday. This Saturday, there's an ACT test that Lake Forest High School is hosting, and we're going to have a lot of kids that take that ACT. So that number is going to rise drastically. We have another test in April. It's not hosted at Lake Forest, but it's another national test. That number is going to rise again. So we'll be consistent with the number of students that are taking the ACT. One of the things that we are off to a really good start. We've gone up in 5 areas from all time in the last 5 years. Our math mean score is higher than it's ever been. Our science mean score is higher. Our STEM mean score is higher. Our writing and our ELA are all higher than they've ever been. So it's early, right? We'll see how the data pans out at the end of the year, but it's a good start for sure. All right, the Illinois State Board of Education came out with SAT performance levels in 2017. Lake Forest High School has adopted the SAT suite of assessments. That includes the PSAT 8-9, PSAT 10, the SAT, and the PSAT and MSQT. We're giving the SAT and all those exams in April 9th of 2024. The standards that they set are essentially you have to get a 540 in ELA or a 540 in math, or both, right, to meet or exceed standards. This is different than the College Board standards, the normed reference College Board standards. This is different, but the norm reference College Board standards are a little lower, actually. But the state of Illinois set this, and we are holding our kids to the higher standard because they deserve it and they're good. So you look at the 7-year SAT data right here. It's actually 6 years because we didn't have any data available in 2020. But you'll look at this, and this is interesting. What you're seeing here is the green. Anything in the green is students have met or exceeded the standards. Anything below, not in the green, and the yellow and orange, they haven't, right? So what stands out to this slide, and it's not a secret that in 2017 we had 80.3 meet the standard in ELA and 72.7 meet or exceed the standard in math. 2023, fast forward to that year, we had 64.2 meet or exceed the standard and 61.9 in math. 64.2 in ELA and 61.9 in math. So you know, we're not hiding those numbers. We're not trying to sugarcoat them. They've gone down, right? We're aware of that, and we know it matters. And why does it matter? It matters for the school report card, but more importantly, it matters because we believe the SAT really provides our students with college readiness indicators, and it helps our students show that they're college ready. So what are we doing about it, right? Dr. Lennart mentioned that she's going to talk about this stuff next session. I'm going to steal a little bit of her thunder and just kind of like give a little highlight. Sorry, but you know, we have an SAT prep class that happens on Saturdays. We have 5 classes for all juniors available, free to our juniors. It's starting at the end of February, and it will run all the way to the Saturday before the April test. It's 3 hours on a Saturday. We have a new thing happening where we're pulling kids out of study hall and giving them SAT prep. I'm going to let Dr. Lennart talk more about that, but it's really something that we're getting really great feedback on. And then we also, our leadership team has more than ever examined, they've done an audit of the SAT and what's in it. Where does it exist in our curriculum? Where should it exist in our curriculum? What are we doing to make sure that our kids are prepared? Because again, we believe that there is value in these questions that the SAT asks. Sorry. All right, paper versus digital. So this is unique, right? We're going to digital SAT exam. I'll be here next year doing this same report. I'll probably do a much better job. It's my second time, but I'm here next year doing the same report, and it's going to be unique because I'm going to be reporting on. I'm going to be comparing 2 different things essentially, right? I'm going to compare SAT data, but it's going to be SAT paper pencil data versus SAT digital data, and that's going to be a different thing. What's unique about the SAT digital? Number one, it's AI enhanced. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about what that means here in a second, but it is AI enhanced. You know, what our students in April will take the PSAT 9, the PSAT 10, and the SAT, the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors will take that, and it will be digital exam. Our juniors have experienced a digital exam already with the PSAT and MSQT that they took in October. I'm very excited to get some feedback from them, from all of our kids that have taken this exam. So we're planning to do that in April to survey them and get some good feedback as to their experience from the digital exam. But some of the things that are unique here that stand out are, I mean, the total time for me right off the bat is it went from 180 minutes to 134 minutes. That's a nice feature for kids. They enjoy that. There used to be 2 sections in reading and writing and 2 sections in math. Now there's just 1 section of each, okay? The sections have each, in the digital exam, each section has 2 modules. Module 1 is a group of easy, medium, and hard questions. Module 2 is where the AI enhancement comes in, and then it takes how you did on Module 1 and provides you questions that meet your needs to best show how well you're, the theory behind it is it's going to give you a really good indicator of how well you performed on that test, and it gives you a more accurate score. So there's value there. This is new to the kids, right? This is a very new thing, and this AI enhanced feature is something that we have to understand and look into more. The other part that's unique is that they've gotten rid of set-based questions. Essentially what that means is you'll read a passage and then maybe answer like 10 questions to follow or 8 questions to follow. Now every question is a standalone question. So you read something, you answer something, you read something, you answer something. So they've gotten rid of that as well. So these are all unique things about the digital SAT, the digital SAT. Questions on that? I know that's, yeah.
Is SAT saying that they anticipate seeing fluctuation in scores year over year because of this transition?
It's a good question. When I've gone to conferences on that, they have done a really good job, and I should have mentioned this, they have done a really good job in their minds of making all the features that a kid could do on a pencil paper test available on a digital test. So they feel like this is going to be consistent with them. What they're not, what they can't answer is the human aspect of like, I just prefer to have a paper and pencil in my hand as opposed to doing it on a computer, right? So that's the part that we just don't know. But they do have, like, you'll have the ability to highlight, you'll have the ability to cross out answers that you know are wrong, you'll have the ability to mark an answer like, oh, I got to come back to that one. So, on a paper test, maybe you circle it and then you come back to it later. You could do the same feature on the digital exam. There are some features that are similar to the paper exam, but it's different, right? And then the curveball, the $1 million question is, how much does that AI enhancement on module 2 of each section matter, right? And what does that do for the scores? I don't know, right? Nobody's been able to give us an answer as to they suppose that it's going to give us a better indicator of their SAT performance. That's their supposition. I mean, not to my knowledge. Do you know anything about that, Dr.
I
Leonard?
mean, have they benchmarked the College Board to make sure that they're calibrating the same as to previous?
Jordan, could you also weigh in?
Among school districts, and this was as they were testing it out, who switched to the digital SAT prior to it being required, they did see a drop-off in scores.
And the SAT was digital internationally last year for everyone who took it, so they would know.
And is everybody going digital? Help me understand. Is it a requirement this spring? It's not
Yeah.
optional?
Yeah, that's the only platform that it's available, with the exception of students who have it written in an accommodation that require a paper pencil test.
So I'm grateful that we waited, because if we're seeing a universal drop, then it would be proportionate based on everybody
You would think, yeah.
experiencing it together.
What did you hear from our students in October after taking their test digitally the first time? What was our students' reaction to that?
Yeah, it was mixed. It was a very small sample size because it was just our juniors. But it was, and I didn't get a ton of feedback on what I sent out. But the main piece was they enjoyed that it was shorter. They really valued that they were not there, for 3 hours taking the test. And they also thought that the format was not clunky in any way. Like using the Blue Book app was user friendly and simple, and they didn't feel like that was any sort of an issue for them. Otherwise, it was kind of mixed data as to like, would you prefer a paper pencil? It was pretty split. This way was fine, digital was fine, paper pencil would be better. It was kind of mixed in that regard. So that's why I'm eager to see what we get when we get the freshmen to take it, the sophomores to take it, the juniors to take it again. That'll be some good indicator. Hopefully we'll get good participation in the survey. Yeah. Well, thank you. Any questions, anything that you want to share before I sit down?
No, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
All right, so we have one liaison report. I know there was some committee reports, and we'll touch on those in March at our board meeting at that time, but the one liaison report, True North Educational Cooperative. John?
Thank you. It'll be very brief. There's really nothing to add to the handout from this month. Thank you.
Thank Dr. Vinson. All right, so action items. Let's see. So may I have a motion to approve the waiving of the first reading of Press 113?
So moved.
Second?
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson? Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And so, since we're doing that, so the approval of press, may I have a motion to approve the second reading of Press Issues 113?
So moved.
Second.
And then, Sally, is there anything to really share on this one?
We met on December 18th in our joint meeting with District 67. At that time, we went through all of Press Issue 113, and the motions that are before you are reflective of what both 67 and 115 elected to do with the input of staff and the administration. We are only asking for a waiver of the first reading because we did not meet in January and we have to stay current with the rigorous press schedule.
Thank you for that. May I have a vote, please?
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as they're included, items 1 through 8, please?
So moved.
Second.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Vinson?
Aye.
Mr. Noble?
Aye.
Mr. Burns?
Aye.
Mr. Weinberner?
Aye.
Ms. Zinser?
Aye.
Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Noble, may I say just a few words?
We had something to announce on the stuff we just passed, so Matt, if you would elaborate.
Thank you, kind sir. So I want to take a moment and just talk about some changes that are happening as we look at filling the role of deputy superintendent. In December of '23, we reported that our beloved Dr. Jeff McHugh is moving to Glen Ellen School District 41 to become the next superintendent, effective July 1 of 2024. And we congratulate him. We are proud of him beyond belief, and we know that he will take the experiences in Lake Forest, and I think he has been in Lake Forest for 9 years. So we will recognize him more formally in June, so I don't want you to think, let's just talk about how we're replacing him and not spend any time on it. I promise you we will give him a proper send-off. A roast is an option. I think that, Ms. Zinser, you are brilliant. I've got goosebumps. So we'll talk more about that in the coming months. But tonight I want to talk about a little bit of the transition and how we're working to fill his responsibilities. So in terms of the deputy, we've made the decision that we are not going to fill the open position of deputy superintendent. And instead, we are taking the opportunity to recognize the duties that are encompassed in his role, including human resources, teaching and learning, and evaluation. And the reason we're doing that is an effort to really increase operational efficiencies while providing growth and leadership opportunities for our administrators. It is a testament of both boards and administration to look for ways in which we can continue to give experiences to our staff that helps them in their own individualized educational journey. And at the time that they're with us, we want them, if they have aspirations to grow, we want to make sure that we are providing those opportunities for them whenever possible. So in light of that, in tonight's consent agenda, we are taking 2 roles, and we have 2 wonderful people that will be filling them in the role of assistant superintendent. They're with us tonight. The first one is Dr. Renee Fitzsimmons, who will be assuming the role of the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning and Accountability. Dr. Fitzsimmons, you know, is a proud principal of Everett Elementary, and previously she was at central office and as a director of innovation. And we are thrilled to have her ascending back to central office in this role, and we know she will do a wonderful job. And we couldn't be more excited about that. So a round of applause for Renee, please. In addition, we have another rock star on our team who came to us 2 years ago. Is that correct, Phil? I'm going to round up. So he's been with us for the last 2 school years, and that is Dr. Phil Georgia, and he is our Director of Human Resources, and we are ascending him, I'm using that word twice now, he is ascending to the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources. In the last year and a half, over and over, Phil has proven himself through his outreach to all 4 unions he directly interfaces with, the community, universities to try to continue to, job fairs to try to bring the best of the best to us. And we are beyond grateful that he is a part of the team, and we know that he will exceed all expectations in this new role as well. So a round of applause for Phil Georgia. Welcome. And because we like to really celebrate, we are going to put formal contracts on the board agenda for March, so we will get to do this all again. But I wanted to make sure that we're being as transparent with the community about how we're looking at the transition from Jeff as he moves to superintendent, and then how we're filling his role. So today's action was really just laying out the roles of assistant superintendents for both Renee and Phil, and then there will be formal action on the contracts in the March board meetings, both 115 and 67, because these roles are shared service roles. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. If not, stay tuned for more work in March.
All right. Thank you very much, Matt. And congratulations and welcome to the chaos. Not chaos, right? It's fun. Yes, that's right. FOIA requests, Sherry Reed, Smart Procure, or I can't even pronounce that. Nathan Michaelark, IRTA, both completed. Alfredo Lozano, excuse me, National Hispanic Institute, in progress. And then we are second public participation. If there is anyone that would like to participate this time, you are welcome. Seeing none. Our announcements are Monday, February 19th, 2024 is President's Day, no school for students and staff. Tuesday, February 22nd, Let's Talk AI Education, as Matt had mentioned, 7 p.m. at Gorton Center. Thursday, February 29th, 2024, Finance and Operations Committee meeting, 7:30 a.m., Lake Forest High School West Campus. Tuesday, March 12th, 2024, will be the next Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. right here. May I have a motion to adjourn the Lake Forest Community High School District 115 Board meeting for February 6th, 2024, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a voice vote, please? All in favor, say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thanks so much.